Welcome. In the previous video we were looking at the main components of embedded system. We have taken enough time in discussing controller, different types of controllers which act as the brain of embedded system. The other major components were also listed, and we have discussed more on memory because it also comes as major component of embedded system. Memory is major component of any computing system. In today's video we are going to discuss about few more important components that makes up a proper embedded system, an efficient embedded system. So two important components of a typical embedded systems are sensors and actuators. While discussing the purpose of an embedded system, I have already put forward the importance of sensor and actuator. So let us first discuss about a sensor, and a good textbook definition for a question: what is a sensor? So sensor is technically defined as a transducer device that converts energy from one form to another for any measurement or control purpose. So sensor is going to sense a real world data that will be converted into required energy form, and that energy will be used to either monitor the condition or use that value to control certain variables or conditions. So basically sensors are used to detect changes in real-time system environment. We have already discussed that if the embedded system is designed only for monitoring purposes, then you will not find any actuator in such a system. But if the embedded system is designed for any controlling purpose, then the system will produce some changes in controlling variable to bring that variable to some desired value, means the required value. At that time that can be achieved only through an actuator circuit, which will be usually connected to output port of embedded system. Then we need to know what is an actuator. Actuator is technically defined as another transducer device. Okay, sensor is also a transducer device. So actuator is also a transducer device, but here you have to be careful that an actuator can be a mechanical device or an electrical device, but usually sensors are electronic or electrical devices. So actuator can be a big mechanical machine too, in case of some applications. Okay, so this here also it will convert a signal to corresponding physical action. That's very important. Here in sensor converts energy from one form to another form, and basically this energy will be in electronic form. But when you come to an actuator, usually the output form can be a signal also, but in most of the applications it is going to be in a physical action form. So always actuator will be acting as an output device. A good example where the sensor and actuator work in tandem is your smartphone brightness control. Right, almost all of us nowadays keep our smartphone in auto bright control, that is auto light control basically it is, right. So there will be a light sensor, basically an ambient light sensor, which will be detecting the surrounding light intensity. So that is the part of a sensor. Okay, and it will use that signal, the converted signal by the sensor, and use an electrical or electronic actuated circuit to adjust the screen brightness for better readability. So the purpose of sensor is to ambient light sensor act as the sensor for my embedded processor in that smartphone. It read the surrounding light intensity, convert it into required form, send it to controller, controller will process it, send to actuator. What is actuator here? Actuator is an electronic circuit which controls the brightness of my screen of your smartphone. To get a more feeling of it, it's better to know the available sensors. It is not restricted to this, even though you have a lot of sensors here. Most of the sensors will be common to you. We have all these sensors are adaptable or used for designing of embedded system, either for monitoring purposes or monitoring and controlling purposes. So you can have a heartbeat sensor connected to an embedded controller, IR sensor, reflective type, transmissive type, LM35, which is nothing but temperature sensor, color sensor, alcohol sensor, smoke sensor, gas sensor, a thermistor, LDR, okay, proximity sensor, very popular, then ultrasonic sensor, another popular fellow, then soil moisture sensor, which is used for moisture control applications, gyroscope, IR receiver, this is motion controller, okay, gyroscope, then humidity sensor, which will be similar to soil moisture sensor, but humidity sensor is used for atmosphere, moisture sensor is used for solid soil, phototransistors, touch sensor, so many sensors. So these sensors can be associated with embedded, real-time embedded systems. So if you want to connect it better, you think an example of a modern passenger car where you will have a monitoring and controlling embedded system working throughout. You have embedded system designed for only monitoring. You have embedded system designed for both monitoring and controlling. The brain of this system, you will be an ARM processor or basically a Cortex controller. You have dashboard controller, light failure controller, information navigation, okay, LED brake light, backup sensing, keyless entry is very popular now. This keyless entry, center locking is center locking is basically evolving day by day. You have different types of center locking available in different manufacturers of cars, right? You have this key transponder, you have nowadays tire pressure monitoring. There is no controlling for that. That's an example for monitoring purpose embedded system, right? So you can monitor the air pressure in the tire. So then you have auto wipers, auto rain sensors, right? These auto mirrors. Then you have this auto driving Tesla cars, automated cruise control. So many controls. I've just put this figure to put you into a situation where you can connect it to the real time or the real world. So next time when you use a passenger car or sit inside a modern passenger car, you should be able to identify monitoring and controlling purposes of an embedded system embedded in the car. That will be nice. I have taken two examples here to just make you understand that sensors and actuators are entirely different. As I told you, sensors will be acting as input devices or detecting devices, and actuator will be the output device or mover device. So two examples if you take and see the control, how it is going to have the monitor and control. Okay, basically explaining you sensor to actuator flow. The first one is a fire detecting system and second one is a soil moisture detecting system. So you will have a temperature sensor which will detect the temperature. So if there is a fire outbreak, the temperature will suddenly increase. Agree? So based on that, the sensor detects the value and it is sent to control center. When I say control center, that is the brain of my designed embedded system. So I'll be using a controller there, okay, which is going to check what is the value of the sensor. If it is below or above the required value, if it is above required value, it is going to send a command to the actuator, and actuator here is nothing but sprinkler. So sprinkler is turned on by suitable circuit and puts out the flame. So this is a vague way of explaining sensor to actual flow. Okay, sensor to actuator flow. And other example which I can give you is a soil moisture sensor. Just now we have seen there are such sensors. So soil moisture sensor will detect the moisture content of the soil, and if the moisture is more than the required value, we are going to switch off the pump. So water pump is continuously on, for example, or on whenever the moisture content is below some value. Okay, and I am explaining you a condition where the water pump is on and I am going on monitoring the moisture content of the soil. If the moisture content of the soil is more, I say that there is unwanted water supply or unwanted water content in the soil, then I will send this value. As you know, sensor is going to convert one energy form to another energy. So the moisture is my input to the sensor, and the output will be some electrical signal. That signal will be taken by the control center. When I say control center, it is nothing but the brain of the system, which is a controller, and this control center or the controller sends required command to water pump. So here water pump is the actuator. As you can see here, in both cases, in this case also you have an actuator which is very mechanical. Here also you have an actuator which is a water pump which is very mechanical, even though it is working from electrical energy. It's a moving system. This is also a moving system. That's why we basically say an actuator is a mover. So water pump will be switched on or switched off according to the signal given by the controller, decided by the signal given by the sensor. I hope these two components, that is sensors and actuators, how it exactly works in an embedded system scenario is very clear now. You can have hundreds of examples for this sensor actuator monitoring and controlling systems. Getting? Next very important component of an embedded system would be an optocoupler. An optocoupler is basically a solid state device, and it is mainly used for isolating two parts of a circuit. You can see an representation of an optocoupler here, an optocoupler device here. You will have 4 terminals, okay, as marked here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is input side, circuit 1, and this is output side, which is circuit 2. On input side you will have an infrared LED, and on the output side you have a phototransistor. So this is the basic structure. So here how we obtain isolation is, the circuit 1 and circuit 2 does not have a direct electrical connection. A current does not directly flow from circuit 1 to circuit 2, thereby it is an electrically isolated device. So whenever you need an electrical isolation in your circuit, we are going to fit an optocoupler. This is very important in case of an embedded system application, because we will be dealing with different levels of voltages in the system. Usually my controller will be working on 5 volt to 18 volt depending upon the application, right, depending upon the manufacturer, right, solid state manufacturer. So okay, I consider the example as 5 volt. My microcontroller, okay, the controlling device, the brain of the embedded system may be working at 5 volt, but my actuator may be working at 230 volt and my sensor may be working at 3.3 volt. So in such cases, I require isolation in my circuit. Okay, we call it as simultaneous separation in the circuit, because I need to provide high voltage separation, because I have on my output side a very high voltage, but my system doesn't require, or my system cannot take that much voltage. So I have given here an example for microcontroller. Pardon me, I have taken an Atmel 89C51 as an example. Doesn't matter, this is true for any microcontroller. It is true for any controller in that sense. I have a controller here. Any port operation will be done through an optocoupler, and any port operation at the output side, that is to the actuator, will also be done through an optocoupler. So this will make my brain system safer to operate. And not only that, it gives me added advantage of suppressing interference in communications also, because basically this sensor is communicating something to the controller, and controller is basically communicating something to actuator. So I cannot afford to have any loss of information or any interference when this communication is happening between monitoring device and controlling device. So optocoupler will help me in doing that also. So it will help me in giving electrical isolation. It will help me in suppressing interference during communication, data communication basically. There are other advantages of signal intensification also. You can intensify the signal if the signal is below tappable values or so. You can intensify the signal using phototransistors. I hope basically you know how it works. There will be current flowing here from 1 through the LED to 2, and equivalent light energy will be produced here. This is a phototransistor. The base of the transistor is a light sensing device. So it will be sensing the intensity of the light produced by this IR, and equivalent amount of current will be given to pin number 4. So that is how it basically works. So the intensity of this IR LED will decide what is the amount of current or voltage, that is the amount of power which I can deliver on the secondary side. So to summarize, we were discussing the main components of embedded system, and in this video we have discussed about 3 components: sensors, actuators and optocouplers. We restrict the discussion only to these 3 components in this video just because these 3 always comes together. You have sensor at the input side, sensor will be communicating to the controller, controller will be then communicating accordingly to the actuator. So sensor, controller, actuator, and then comes the optocoupler, as I told you, because these sensors and these actuators will be operating at different voltage levels. So it is always better to have a electrical isolation between them, but without losing data. The communication should happen properly. There should not be any interferences or glitches. What sensor is trying to monitor and tell you, and what controller is going to give a command to actuator, this should go in tandem. So monitoring using sensor, decision by the controller, and controlling the output variable using an actuator, and electrical isolation obtained using optocoupler. So that is the flow. Thank you.